My name is Bruce, and I am with the lovely Janet from Another Planet tonight.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for coming.
This is episode 59, I believe, of the Girl, a Guy in a Movie. We review a seminal favorite of mine, The Gamer's Dorkness Rising. Janet, this was your first viewing of the movie, correct?
Yes, it was wonderful. But you could definitely tell how much they improved with setting, costumes, acting ability. Everything has improved since the movie that you showed me before, the other one with the gamers in it.
Yeah,
they definitely had a better budget.
They had a exponential budget increase with this, and a lot of my friends and I we watched this movie with a lot of anticipation because it was being pushed around all the conventions at the time. And at the time I was living in Peoria, I wasn't in the best place. I was working lower than what I should deserve job, and things just weren't going great for me. So I was having a hard time with that life, and I finally got my act together. Finally. And I get involved doing things down here in Texas, and I start assembling things and getting my old crew together, which they knew that like once I started working or having an area to do things, I would probably be able to be in touch with them more often, which is what's happened over the past 10 years. But when we finally got a hold of this movie in 2010, I think, 2009, everybody had to see it. Every single one of my friends had to see it. We had to have it at local game stores. We had to show it, and they started putting out Creative Commons licenses. So as long as you showed the movie in its entirety, including the credits, you could show it pretty much at a town hall, down at the park, on a big screen. They don't care. Just show the entire movie as it is. They wanted it.
So we could show it tonight without them getting mad?
We could, but I would rather us, because we had the viewing, the watch party last night, and thank you for everybody that came by to that.
Yeah, it was fun.
Should also probably say hello to our friends, the chatters, and the groupings here. We got Flatey. Hey, Flatey, how you doing, sir? He was involved with us.
Hi,
here. And Crafting Gamer, Six Nation 31 Kings is in here as well. So had a lot of people in the chat last night just kind of chilling out in the Discord. And I think that's going to be a thing in Sundays from now on. We're just going to kind of view what we're looking at, and any discussions, go ahead, be unmuted and let you guys know. Not sure if they still allow the viewing. Their sites are being updated. They probably still do want to have that, but I can't speak for them, so I should probably say I don't know.
Yeah. But is there a way we can find out?
I could probably send them an email. Mac Thompson, hello, sir. How are you today?
Maybe they would. They're trying to get it to be like a Rocky Horror Picture Show. You know what I mean? Where people want to have big parties around it and stuff. That would be a fun party, though. If people were to come dressed up as characters in the movie, and then, act it out or talk through it while we're watching it. That would be kind of fun.
That would be a lot of fun.
But what would be the most fun would be the guy that's dressed as the woman, and then when it's the woman's part, them having to pass each other, back and forth. That would be really funny to add to it. And you'd have to have a goodie bag with all the stuff, they use in the movie. The outtakes was cute too. Now that's something I wish every movie, especially anything that had to do with any comedy and stuff, to have outtakes at the credits.
The end credits, I thought, was probably one of the high points of the first viewing we had. I am not certain what's going on with Rumble tonight. For those of you that are on Rumble, I'm sorry. It looks like it's feeding in. Hold on. I'm sorry, guys. I know, Bruce. Stop doing that.
I've tried to do Rumble a few times, and it just said setting, or it's setting it up or something, and it never finishes.
Okay, we are live on Rumble. Yes.
Good.
Apparently the
but you could definitely tell that the acting abilities have definitely improved on all the characters.
Yeah.
Every one of them. But the one guy that I said really overacted in the very first one, he was in it very, very little. The one that played the demon guy.
Yes.
Brown hair, and so he wasn't really in it as much this time. So, but everyone else, I could recognize everyone. Except for the little guy that played the demon, the one that was standing inside the little pentagram on the ground. I don't remember that person. At first, I thought it was the one girl.
No.
It could have been, but I think it was really a boy that played that part. Was it?
I really don't know who the Razul character was played by. But
and Razul, isn't that the same name that they used in Ghostbusters?
Zool.
Oh, Zool. Okay, it was just Zool. Mm-hmm.
Mac was saying earlier that he comes in after 2 weeks and we're talking about cross-dressing. What's going on here? I gotta go. Don't go yet, Mac. There's a character in this film that their character is a sorceress. He decides to play a chick. And he's like, yeah, that's right.
But it was funny. It was funny the way they did it, because when they started the game and they were just sitting at the table, he's dressed like normal. They're all sitting there at the table playing, getting ready to roll the dice and put their characters and stuff in. And when he submits his character, he's reading it off, and then you see him in the scene in the field, like where they're going to be fighting and stuff. But he's wearing the red dress and white gloves and a blonde wig. And then when they start talking and he ends up going into character to do his part, a girl, the real pretty blonde from the first movie, she's all of a sudden as him, or they pass each other. And it was just funny the way they did it. It wasn't, he didn't have makeup on or anything. It was just like he was waiting to get in there and play his part as a woman. And it was so cute how they kept going back and forth, making it embarrassing in a way, when the guy that wanted to be the bard, and he's like, do you want to have sex? And then they're like, well, you're a guy. And he goes, well, I'm a woman, whatever. And then when she would change into a woman for the game, and then they would go to the back room or whatever, just little stuff like that. I thought it was hilarious. To me, it wasn't anything like this stuff. I don't even think the people today that are all into the whatever you want to call it wouldn't even like it the way that they did it, because it was so comical. It was almost like in Living Color, when they would dress up like Tooth,
yes,
to dress up as the woman, the Wanda with the big lips, whatever, that character. It was funny as shit. And we knew it wasn't a woman, but it was funny. You can't even do that now. You cannot. He couldn't get away with that, but it was freaking funny as heck. And then they had what? Homie the Clown. Homie don't play that. All that. I mean, you just couldn't do any of this comedy. And I don't really think they could make this movie today without getting, torn to shreds by the left. But I thought it was funny as heck. I'm sorry, you're going so fast I can't read and talk at the same time because I'm blonde now. So, oh well. Just kidding. But I thought it was genius. I thought lots of aspects from the script were just really good. And who wrote the script? Was one of the actors the writer, or was it the director this time?
The actor that played the heavyset guy that was drunk all the time and slovenly around the house,
laying on the floor in the hall every night when he'd come home. Okay, he wrote it.
Yes.
I think he did a good job. I thought it was very well written. I thought it was a good script. I thought the story was definitely better than the very first one. I don't know. The characters had more depth to them this time. Like with the ex going to play the game, going to join the game, and how they bickered with each other, almost like they were really exes. And then the kind of warmth between the master of the game and one of the players, and which happens to be the ex, that kind of thing. With Kevin, they all brought that up. I just thought that was adorable. So that was
That's your name?
arcs.
Who's
Yeah.
Kevin?
Who's Kevin? Yeah. So I just thought it was funny. There was good character arcs for all the characters, even the little dorky guy. All of them had different things that happened to them, and it was so sweet. When the one guy got pissed off, had a bad attitude, and left, that the little dorky small guy crawled under the table and sat up and says, "So what happens next?" So I just thought it was great because he was a team player, and
Yes.
it brought the rest of them together as a team. And I thought that was really good. And I love the whole aspect of how the dungeon master, the guy running the game, basically, to me, it reminded me of you a little bit, that when he snuck in the character of himself as a virtuous, righteous person, like what she had told him, and he took her advice when she told him that you're they do this stuff because you're just hovering over them like basically like a mother hen or something, and didn't trust him and let him try to make good decisions. And it was great how they all ended up becoming a team working together, even though the one was not happy with some of the choices that were made in the game because he was very headstrong and wanting his own way. But you got that in real life. So I thought it was really good. I wish I could kick ass as good as she did in the very first fight. Too, because she had 3 plays and she was talking about all the different stuff she can add. And that reminded me a little bit of Hilga's character. When she first started, she was like, "Don't I get another one of these?" and whatever. She understood a lot more than me, and I was really trying to listen to her to learn from that. So I thought it was really good. I really, really enjoyed this movie. And I laughed a lot, and I know I made a lot of noise when other people were trying to watch it, but I should have turned my mic off.
We were all muted because we've seen this movie many times before.
All of you'd already seen it before? So I was the only one that hadn't seen it before?
We had to break in the virgin, and we wanted to hear you laugh and chuckle and oh my throughout the whole thing, and we got.
And I did catch the whole little twist there at the end when she poured he poured the water over her before they were finished spilling the beans.
Hey, Tiki.
So little things like that are good too. But I thought it was really good. I thought they did a great job. Considering they still had a small budget.
Yes.
So, but see how much more they have to work at putting into the characters when they don't have everything just handed to them.
Mm-hmm.
I think it makes it. That's why I love indie movies so much. When we first started talking about all this stuff, I told you I really like indie movies, and that's one of the reasons why. It forces the character and the people making the film, the boom operator, the prop master, the costume designer, the casting person, everyone, all have to really work harder at how can we make this work with this much money, and I just love that. I think it really brings out the creativity of each of the persons that are involved, and a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and it really works. I think it does. I'm sorry. Is anybody asking questions or anything? Because I've missed some of the chat.
Mainly everybody's talking about how this movie takes them back 10 or 15 years. Mm-hmm. For me, it sure does that. And I want to say thank you to Rumble for allowing the technical wizards to allow us to stream over there as well. We've got 9 people or 8 people over there watching. We've got 9 people over here in YouTube land watching. This movie hits me really hard because I think it was filmed in like 2005 or 6. It might have been released a little bit later than that in like 2008 from what they were saying on IMDb. But you have so many things that take me straight back to that land because you have all the game stores where they would have their Reaper miniatures proudly on display in one area. And then you'd have like Games Workshop stuff. And then you'd have like the D&D, the D20 stuff, which D20 is what birthed Pathfinder.
Mm-hmm.
Janet doesn't know what we're talking about. I have to take Janet back in time and explain this to her. Please forgive me, chat.
I'm
In
sorry.
2000, no. In 2001, we got the complete release of third edition D&D. When I say complete release, they had the 3 main books out, and they had this juggernaut marketing idea. They said, we will shove our system out and make a license to where you can write for content using our engine, and then you can basically use it at your table, this content with our engine, and you can do whatever you want. You can have fun with it. You can make money on it. And for like the 24, 26 years before that, we had a gaming hobby that the only way you could make money with it was to make your own system and to make your own miniatures and then make your own upgrades and own everything. But now Wizards of the Coast in 2000, 1999, they had a genius idea to do a 3.0 OGL license, which one of the best ideas ever. They should never get rid of that idea. They need to keep that if they're going to try to stay relevant in this new age where everybody can just say, I'm going to use the 4th edition engine, or I'm going to use the 2nd edition engine.
Mhm.
Use it. I think they need to keep a hold of it. And that's what they did to get ahead. Because for the decade before, D&D got their ass kicked. Because in 1990 or 89, we had Vampire the Masquerade come out. And that opened up the hobby of grognards and long gray-bearded men at these tables that were going
We
into
had
role
vampires and stuff in it.
had vampires.
Oh, see that? I would love to learn how to do that game. I love vampires.
She's mine. She's in my game, guys. find your own hot woman for your vampire.
Well, the thing is that maybe after this campaign, you can do another one with something like that.
Might have to try that.
Monsters.
Vampire the Masquerade came out in 1990, and it kicked a lot of ass, and it was great. And then every other company tried chiseling away the dominance that D&D had on the hobby. And in 3.0, they got that dominant back. They came right back. And in 2005, when everybody was noticing Dead Gentlemen and Zombie Orpheus Entertainment, I think there were kind of like 2 offices that were like making the same stuff, because there was like basically the same people. He's married to her, she's his uncle, that sort of thing. These 2 companies were making this movie after they made the Gamers, and they wanted support. And Flady, they want to know, they got D&D supported by Wizards of the Coast, the people that made the game. And the prop book was released by D20 and Pathfinder came out. But anyway, this is in that age where like D&D was like the juggernaut. And then in 3.5 came out and people upgraded begrudgingly. I got to upgrade. Here's $100 for books. Fuck, $100 for books for 3 books sounds really cheap right now. Anyway, we have people that are going into the 3.5 edition, and right around this time, like everybody's still playing D&D. There's people that are breaking off a little bit, but if a game store wants to keep butts in seats, that's the game they play. And even when 4th edition started getting announced, people started looking at it, and then here's this little scrappy company that was warehouse in Seattle called Paizo, and they made this noise like, we've got 3.5 and we're going to keep it for our new engine for Pathfinder. And then like everybody left D&D when 4th edition came out because it was not the same. It just wasn't. It was a good game. If it never said D&D on the cover, it would have been hotcakes. It would sold. It was good. Had a lot of good support. Had miniatures. They sold their own brand of miniatures. Okay, they sold their own brand of dice, their own brand of everything. But Paizo comes out with Pathfinder, and they have every 6 months you get a new campaign from 1st to 15th or 17th level you get to play. You get to try these new characters out. They give you new rules for new characters every year or so. And so then you have all these various things. And so Pathfinder was a juggernaut from like 2009 to 2015 when 5th edition came out because WotC got beat up too much at the bank. And so WotC says, here's 5th edition. It's the IP edition. We're going back to the stuff you guys like. We promise. And that's what happened. But when this movie was made, I'm just trying to just give you a small history of the gaming industry and the game store culture that was going on. And this movie is very accurate in the fact that you'd have these guys leaning up the chairs, and I kind of look like one of those fat guys right now. And they're just like there at the game store, and then like here comes this fresh smelling, beautiful creature of a woman, of a creative individual, designed for procreation and companionship, and intelligent and supple and soft and curvy. And so like every swinging dick in a game store pops their head out. Oh, I haven't seen a girl since we stopped running
I just
vampire.
thought that was so cute, the movie. And they, they did that in that TV show with the two roommates that were nerds. I'm trying to remember the name of it again. The Big Bang Theory.
Big Bang
They
Theory.
did that when girls would come in too, because there was girls never go in. And it's like, I felt like that in high school, because when I would go with my dad and he would let me go in and he'd go down the street to look at the knives or whatever else. I spent hours just going through all the boxes of comic books, and there was never any girls in there. So I can understand. I mean, that's real. So I thought that was really cute when they're all like looking like, what? A woman's in here. I just thought it was really cute, that part of it.
And then of all places she goes, she doesn't stop at any books, doesn't look at any miniatures, doesn't talk to any of the passers-by, goes straight to the gaming room, sits down and demands to have books and character and dice. And it was great. Now, about 2007 to 2010, there was a dry spell. A lot of stores dried up. Things came back a little bit in 2014 because Games Workshop cannot carry a game store alone. It can, but it will destroy the culture around it by raising every other system out there. And somebody will be like, I want to have a place where I can play Vampire. I want to have a place where I can play Ars Magica or any other game, but that dominant piece of shit. And when I say that dominant piece of shit, I mean any game like Dungeons and Dragons, Pathfinder, Warhammer, Miniatures, Battles, any of those games which basically take over the culture. And what they do is they kind of mainline and mainstream a game store. And as much as I hate that, that's what keeps the butts in seats. And the other thing, there's another game that's out there that makes all the kids come and play. Actually, two of them. One being Magic the Gathering, second being Yu-Gi-Oh! Those two card tapping games will just make it almost.
Didn't COVID like hurt a lot of the comic book shops, though, especially the ones that had little gatherings like that? Didn't they close them down and not let people gather together to play games and stuff? Because I know in a couple of the states that I drive through a lot of the places that I would stop sometimes and look at, because they'd have people would bring in and sell, their figurines or there's some of their collectibles and comic books and stuff, and you can get resale stuff. And I loved, just scrounging through stuff, and they all went out of business. So it was really sad to see that type of businesses go out when you could go down the strip bar or to the liquor store, but you couldn't get a comic book. I don't know. I just thought it was unfair. A lot of the things that they did, the way they did it in some of these states. But someone named Patty's Parlor, they said that they couldn't talk or something over in Rumble. I saw that on their chat.
Yeah, I'm not certain what's going on with Rumble. They have streaming over there right now, but it's kind of weird. Got 4 people in there watching. I wonder if they're trying to chat or if they're able to do everything you're supposed to be able to do. But this will be should be uploaded to Rumble once we're finished. Okay.
Oh, they said they think it's their connection, not Rumble.
Okay. My Rumble chats are usually pretty silent. I apologize. But I needed to give you an idea of what the gaming culture was from like 20,000 to about 2015.
Well, that's something I wanted to ask the other night, and I just forgot about it, was I know a few people that play World of Warcraft on the computer, and a few of them, they just make characters and play them, and then they sell them. So back when this all was real popular, it's like its peak or whatever, did people do that with their characters that they built up?
Not really
So,
do that per se. You won't find people that can sell their characters with various gaming systems that are tabletop oriented,
mm-hmm.
but you will find people that they will find a particularly good combo when a book gets released. And so they'll flood the message boards and they'll say, this is what I have, this is how it is. And then they'll post their character online. And next thing you know is that, like, when you're the GM, all of a sudden your guy who's a potato at the table, he comes up with this character concept. It's like, this seems kind of advanced for you. Where'd you find it? I created it. No, what forum were you at? And after about a month, you'll get it out of him. He'll slip up or she'll slip up.
Yeah.
And it's, I've been to Puyallup. I love that area. Very pretty. They will spread their information through the various forums and such, and it's really important to do that. I think an active community for gamers really. I don't like the optimization of characters, but I do like the fact that they're talking with each other, trying to help out people that don't quite grasp the gameology behind the character concepts.
Because the way that we play, at least the way I see it, I don't know how you could take a character, like if one of the people was to leave and go to someone else's game, how they could take it and play it in another game, because the build for this game, it seems like it wouldn't really be useful if the other person's doing a different type of game. You know what I mean? Because
One
you're
way
allowing different magics, and some people don't allow much, just like they were talking about when we were watching this game. I don't allow that, and I don't allow this, I only allowed these things, that type of stuff. So how would you be able to take one character from this game and then go to another people's game and play and be able to use the same character? That's what I was trying to ask. If that makes any sense.
what you would do is, typically what happens is somebody, they leave a table, and they liked 80% of the table, but there's 20% of the table that makes them want to leave.
Yeah.
So they take their character, and whenever they go looking for a new game to go play, they will go and do their best to find a GM that says, listen, I have this character, I have this concept for it, here's what I want to do, here's where I found it, can I do this in your game world? And most GMs will look at something, and if it's standardized, if it's in the core rule book, especially 99% of GMs will be like, sure, I don't care, that's fine. And they just let them play. That's great. That's how it's supposed to be. A lot of other GMs, probably about 1 to 10%, will be like, no, you have to create a character with my capacity for rules, and you have to do everything that I want for my game, because it's not a standardized game, blah, 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 blah.
Mm-hmm.
And they get kind of like protective about their thing. They don't want to have a game where they tell you, like, this is a standard cookie cutter game world. No, it's not. Here's your custom rule set that I have for our table, along with your 552-page core rule book and the 17 hardcovers that are also allowed in play.
Yeah.
Go ahead and take these home and read these over. And if you could return the Trapper Keepers for me in good condition, that'd be great, because those are the custom rules. I only have one copy of those. I've not made a backup on those on the computer at all. So a lot of people, they will do that. And it's just indicative of the game, how long you've been in it, by how many custom rules you have for your game. Because no matter what game you play, like, a lot of people, when they start to fiddle with a rule set, doesn't matter if it's Ars Magica or D&D or Vampire the Masquerade, they will have customized rules for their game. And they will have things that they found works best for their table. They like the theming, or they like, I don't use this rule, I use this ruling instead. So that's kind of where a lot of GMs are at. And a lot of GMs don't fancy themselves as mad wizards, but sometimes they kind of get that way.
But if you've been playing for a long time, let's say that you have it like your group of people, some could be playing for 13 years. what has stopped them from getting their character like to level 55 or 75, where they're so strong that nobody can beat them?
The
How
game ends.
does that not happen?
The game ends. As much as I hate to say it, the campaign will end, and those characters will retire, and they realize they push their luck to get to 17th or 18th level. For many players will never see 17th or 18th level in any game, or that requisite marker. They'll never see something like that in the game they're playing. 90% of them. 10% of tables will venture into the high level play, and they might do things like what Mac Thompson talks about, like at level 25 they turn into gods and remove them from play, or they turn into a legend and then they get old and they like have kids, and so like, yeah, go ahead, make your new character will have a range for dexterity between 16 and 19. Roll me a d4. And they're like, what? I'm like, yeah, your grandpappy was a master thief, and like you were the good spawn that came out of your mom or came out of your daddy. So like I said, roll me a d4. Your dexterity is going to be between 16 and 19. You got your grandpappy's fingers, and that kind of like flips people out sometimes when you say things like that. But a lot of games will never get past 20th level, just because the majority of systems don't support play above that. That's where
I was just wondering, because some of the foes that we fought, I didn't think we'd ever beat them because they just seemed like they're so powerful that we'll all be dead before we could kill it. So I had to think that, if you were a strong enough wizard or a warrior like Helga is, over time you get powerful enough that where, a giant dragon come up and her one hit from her hammer, with a magic spell on it, whammo, the dragon's dead. You'd have to be able to develop your characters that way sooner or later, if you play enough. So that's why I was thinking about that. I was like, wow, because a couple of our characters are pretty powerful. But some of your creatures are even way more, the things that you've come up with. So, and getting to see this movie and getting to see it from the game writer's point of view, and how he comes up with different ideas of what he wants to do in the story, like bringing in the paladin, which I thought was just the whole thing, the way that he did all that. I know it wasn't him, but the writer put all that in there for the different characters to have their character arcs. I just thought it was really, really good, and staying true to what I feel was the game, the actual game of it. Too, within the rules of it. So I just thought it was really, really good, and very definitely someone like my sister Sandy would not understand any of it. I mean, I understood a lot of it simply because I've been able to play, but as someone who's never played the game would be watching it going, what the, have no idea about any of it. So I just think that was really good, the whole thing. I liked it a lot. I thought they all did an excellent job. And it's really cool is that I did get to see the other movie. So to get to see the difference between how they were portrayed themselves in the other movies, and then to see this one, that definitely they've all improved in, acting ability. I thought. That's my point of view. So
I'm a big fan of this film. Everything about this just spoke to me because I was in my late 20s, early 30s when this movie started getting out, and the people behind the movie were getting to the point where it was complete. We knew they were going to make a second movie after I'd bumped into people at Egyptian campaign in SIU, which is Carbondale, Illinois, has a convention called Egyptian Campaign, or they used to. I think they still have it. Great little con. And then I started bumping into people and said, have you seen this movie, The Gamers? Have you seen The Gamers? And like, oh yeah, I've got a VHS of it. And like, okay, cool. And then other people, oh, you know about The Gamers? Well, Dead Zombie or Dead Gentleman is going to make a sequel to it. They just need more money. And so that's just kind of how we were kind of in the know about it. there was a BBS originally about it, then the internet started getting really utilized back in like 2004, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And we started really communicating back and forth between ourselves. And keep in mind, I wasn't in like a really good spot in Illinois where we could do things like this for a good long time. It took till 2004 for my parents to get cable internet.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just 2004. I was a little upset.
Well, a lot of people couldn't afford it. It was too expensive.
Yeah.
I remember growing up and having just a few channels on TV and being mad because my friends were able to watch some of these specialty channels and I wasn't able to. So I felt, I was not happy about it. And they were saying, well, we're not paying for all that, So we had to go to our friend's house on certain nights to be able to watch some of the shows we wanted to.
Yeah, and we had to go to Decatur, Illinois, or we had to go to Springfield, Illinois to enjoy things. Lincoln is like a 20,000 person town. That's still, there's still a lot of people on dial-up in Lincoln. That's all I'm going to say.
Well, my dad got out of the military. My mother wanted to move closer to where her mother was because her mother wasn't, doing well. And they bought a house, and there was 600 people in the town that we moved to. So it was nothing. There was nothing there. So we moved to Deadwood. No, it was nothing. I mean, it was just a teeny towny nothing town. So, and we had to ride a bus a long time to go to school and all that stuff. But it was terrible. We hated it. To go from the military base where there's everything, movie theater, bowling alley, grocery stores, a little mall, had everything you wanted. And then we had to move, and we moved to this town that had nothing. Yeah. So it was really hard. And then I remember Sandy and I sitting around trying to talk Southern, howdy y'all, just trying to, not talk like we talked so that we could fit in and people wouldn't make fun of us at school. So it's funny what we do. And somebody made a comment. Oh, there it is. It says, gotta teach Sandy to nerd more gooder. Okay. Well, guess what? Sandy was she was a natural blonde. And I would say, look, Sandy, a dead bird. And she'd go, where? Looking up in the sky for it. So even if she had a comic book, I don't think she could read it and, understand what the concept of what's going on in it. So I never did try to do it because she just thought it was dumb. She wasn't interested. So maybe one of you guys could start sending her messages or whatever on her channel or on Twitter and say, hey,
keep it clean. Keep it clean.
Well, I'm talking about being more nerdy. Realizing that being a nerd is not such a bad thing. It's pretty good. I have always enjoyed it. And every so often she'll say, that's kind of interesting. And, I'll show her different things or whatever. But she comes to my office and just looks around because she's got porcelain figurines that are real pretty, ballerinas, stuff like that. And I have, Wolverine, and I've got all the little characters for Rocky Horror Picture Show and I've got stuff from all different kinds of movies and stuff. So it's just not what she's not interested.
Our friend Mac has not met our friend, your sister, Sandy.
She's my sister, and Friday night I've talked her into doing a show. I call it the Friday Night Shit Show. And the first night we did it, it was right before Mother's Day, and it was our mother's birthday. And she's passed 4 years ago. And I was kind of depressed, so I called her on the phone, and I said, what are you doing? And she goes, I'm depressed. And I said, hey, let's do a live stream. Will you do a live stream with me? And she's like, okay. So she was on her phone, and we just started thinking, I just called it the shit show, Friday Night Shit Show. We just started talking, and a few other people were in the chat. And so I invited a few people up to be on the panel, and we just sat around and talked about bullshit and, about us being kids and our mom and things like that. It was a lot of fun. So I just wanted to have a night where we could just talk about whatever shit is going on,
We try to encourage the sisters on Friday nights, Mac. We the sisters?
I have 4 sisters. So it's like I told Bruce, I said, when he first asked me to start doing this with him, I was like, I love talking. And I said, and I try not to interrupt people and I try not to talk over people. I've really been working at it, since I've been on my own, but it's just a hard habit to break when you're growing up and you have 4 other females in the house and you have to, sometime you got to talk. And if you can't talk because everybody's talking, so we just talk over each other. And it annoys a lot of people. But we don't do it on purpose to piss people off. It's just that, that's just how it is.
Mac, I don't think we'll ever get all 4 of them on the same stream. I would love to do it. I would.
Well, there's 5 of us. So I have 4 other sisters.
Yeah, all 4 of her sisters and Janet together on one stream. I'm pretty certain we will have a run on blue pills.
Well, we'd probably end up in a big fight or something. But see, I'm going to get to go and see all of them but Sandy. Sandy doesn't get to go. So it'll be Jennifer there, Kathy, and Dana and I getting to go hang out with our dad in Alabama. So that will be, it's going to be fun.
Hey, RPG Grandma, how you doing? This movie, whenever you watch, I mean, obviously you enjoyed yourself, and you've been getting into the hobby for the past year, just by association, and then with me on every other Saturday. I'm really gonna do what I can just to make sure that you enjoy yourself, and like I have. When you're a dungeon master, when you've got somebody that comes to your table, they're brand new, like you almost have to like literally bubble wrap their experience. And I feel really blessed. I absolutely find myself blessed because I've got a good table. I've got a lot of people that they've done they've done their 20s, their wild 20s are behind them. Hey man, Brian, how you doing? And they recognize a new player with you, and you ask new player sort of things. Like we have another new player in our group, and that'd be Joe, the Scotsman. But he's kind of used to video games, so he knows the nomenclature for damn near everything. He's good. So we don't really have to kind of explain things to him. He just kind of absorbs stuff. We throw him a web link, and he's good. With you, we have to like make sure that we explain everything going on with all the steps of the game. And then when we feed that to you, you get like 80 to 90% of it, and then you'll ask questions. And I
always ask lots of questions.
As a YouTuber, I love that because that allows me to show that asking questions is good. Asking questions is probably the most important thing in this hobby, because that's where you learn what's acceptable, what's not, what's going to be able to have at the table, what's permissible. Can I bring soda, snacks, or whatever? Do you guys mind if I chew while I'm on stream? Or, we have these whole bevy of questions that can get asked, and by a new person, it's great. It's wonderful because I love having a new person in the group, because it kind of reminds people like you weren't always such a stud with these books and that character and the nomenclature. You were once basically a 12-year-old kid opening this stuff for the first time. And here's Janet to show us what it's like to be new at the game. And she is in love with the game.
Yeah, I love it. And see, I made this and I even laminated it. And I have it on my desk. And it helps me try to remember, which dice to use when you say this, that, or the other. But the problem I've always had is that on the side, it says stuff like, the D20 is the most important dice you have. With this, you to do stealth, acrobatics, and other skill checks and stuff like that. It's what it says next to it. But you guys sometimes use words that aren't on this list, and I'm struggling going, oh my, I don't know what dice I'm supposed to use, because you're using a different word than what's on this. So then I end up having to go, is it the golf ball one or is it, the square one or the one that looks like two pyramids stuck together?
And
So,
that's okay. That's part of this
but it
game.
was funny because the way she talked about the dice and stuff in the game too, it made me not feel so stupid. So it was fun. That was nice. Yeah.
There's no stupid question, and every game master needs to embrace that and wrap their arms around it. If you have somebody that's willing to spend time with you at your table, if they're willing to be on time at your table, if they're willing to be there for every session, if they're willing to do all the things to make your table a fun shared experience, you owe it to them to answer every question they have, or tell them at a specific point, I can't answer this for you now. I can answer this for you later because that's game related. And right now, your character really wouldn't know what's going on. And
Mm-hmm.
at our table, one thing that we don't really do a whole lot is we don't talk about a lot of out of character knowledge, because thankfully the players are like characters that are 12th and 13th level. So they've been
Yeah.
around, seen stuff. And there's times where I tell you, like, okay, Janet, um, Luna is not an 18-year-old girl. She's been around. She's done things. And so I'm going to tell you Luna's perspective, even though you yourself have never experienced this at a game table. Your character has either heard about it, or they've read about it, or they've encountered it. This is not new. This is kind of old hat. So I just need to help you understand that this is not the first time that Luna, your cleric, has encountered something like this. And I try to do that. And a lot of experiences at a table, there are a lot of other experiences, like for smaller gaming groups that do not live so long, you have something that's called out of character knowledge, which is
Mm-hmm.
basically you knowing everything within the hardcovers in front of you. And a lot of people just don't get it. They don't understand it at all. They confuse that with like what my character knows. No, you don't know that. You're second fucking level. You're 19 years old, wet behind the ears, and you don't have a clue about shit. But when you're like in a game that's been in play for 3 years, there's a certain joy as a GM that I can talk about things, and I don't have to try to preface this. Your characters wouldn't know this, but here it is for you.
Mm-hmm.
It's wonderful. This is this is something that I encourage game tables to have a length of a campaign that will make you uncomfortable as a GM, or play a game that will let you play the same characters for a couple of years,
Yeah.
because that's something that's really important, and I want people to be able to experience that. There's a joy in higher level gaming that many people will never figure that out. And Travis is like, there's always stupid questions. There are stupid questions, yes, but a new person might not understand that, and they worse, if they think it's a stupid question, 80% of the time they never ask it.
But how does the person, like Chimerian said, yeah, the stupid questions are the ones with stupid they ask when they're stupid or whatever. But the thing is, the person asking the question won't always know that it's a dumb question.
And that's where the joy of being a new character, a new player in the hobby, really, you get to bask in that for quite a while, because that's just one of the things. Like somebody that would, if we were playing in Faerun, and you're like, okay, well, okay, I guess we go to Shadowdale, whatever the fuck that is, and I have to like, hold on, put on the brakes. You're 8th level. We're going to Shadowdale, which is like a library, because like everybody knows in Shadowdale, there's this giant wizard that's been around since the time of fucking all the rules mismanagement, and he was originally a Mylar, like Gandalf, and then he changed the rule system to be for D&D, and so now he's just a very high level wizard that knows everything. He's got some druid levels in him. He's part deity himself. His name's Elminster, and he's going to be the thing you run to every time things get scary. But you wouldn't know that because you've never played this game before, but your character does. And
Mhm.
so I just have to kind of impart that to people. whenever they're playing a game like this. Let me give you just some piece of history that you do know. You don't have to roll for it. This is just like something that you know. If you want to know more, go ahead and make a roll. And the higher your roll, the more information I'm going to be happy to divulge. And I might not give it all to you at once. It'll be things that you'll be like doing a trail ride 2 days from now, and you'll remember an anecdote about something, and it'll help pass time. But the newbies have so much leverage in the game by just being a question machine. They can be Alex Trebek while he was still alive and ask so many good questions.
See, that was one of the things I thought was cute in the game when they were sitting all around the table, and the girl that was new to the game, and she made a kill, when she did her kill. And so she said, hey, I'm going to do this next strike because I made a kill. And everybody was looking at her like, except for the GM, he was like, yeah, you get this because of that, whatever, different things. You get different extras, an extra strike at somebody or whatever. And I just thought that was cute because the guys were like, how did she get that? Why did she have that when she has such low hit points? Things like that. I just thought that all of that was really good. So the guy that wrote this screenplay, I bet he's written lots of games.
I don't know if he's written lots of games. I know he's got quite a Bible of stuff for the campaigns he's ran. Basically, things for Dead Camper Lake or whatever they call that Gothic series, and then he has another thing for Farther All, the medieval version of the game.
I'm waving at all the new people. Starting to see some different names on there.
Okay.
So just say hi to everybody. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Yeah, and Ironcaster hits one of the key things about a crunchy game. Reading the rule book is very useful. Joanna wanted to create a character that was high in dexterity, high in charisma, but if she ever had to use her spear, then she would be really, really good at using her spear. And so, like, she had first strike, she had some sort of critical momentum where she would get an extra attack for every critical she inflicted. And then she had some other stuff. And I just want to copy that and put that in my game because spear fighters are badass, and there's not a lot of love for spear fighting in any version of D&D. Like, until you get to the obscure third-party books where they like say, if you're a sword and shield fighter, here's some feats for you. If you're a hammer and anvil dwarf fighter, here's some feats for you. And that's they do that a little bit, but I really love that part of Joanna because she started understanding it just at character creation, and she started getting into it like, this is what I can do.
And I really just think it was really cute, though, when her ex showed her a picture of what he expected her to look like.
Yeah.
Chain Mob bathing suit or bikini. I thought that was just really, it was really good on how they put in real life seeming conversation, depending on, because they were ex, they were no longer together. And some of the comments that the other guys made about, now I can see why you guys aren't together anymore. Things, just little things that made it lifelike, but also when they were playing the game, the way that they interacted, because one guy was a womanizer, the bard guy, every single scene, he was going to have sex, even in church. So it's like, it was just funny. And then when he'd sing, it was really beautiful music, and everybody was just, lulled by him. But he died really easily. He was always dying. And then him cheating and having his
employees make new characters.
Yeah, employees making more characters. I just thought it was really, really cute. I thought it was a really well planned out script to be able to have it unfold, especially for people like us, that know something about how to play the game and the rules to it. So they had a lot more rules and behind the scenes type thing of the structures of the game this time than they did in the other ones that we watched. So I thought that was really good how they went about doing that, and how he put it down on paper for someone else to be able to act it out to make it seem like we were just sitting and watching them play a game and using our imagination for the characters. And that's why I thought it was so funny the way they did the whole one gentleman dressed up as this sexy fighter, you know. What was she? She was what was she? A wizard?
Sorceress.
A sorceress. Okay.
Yeah.
And she did a really good job.
This is a poster that I was thinking of initially. I didn't want to say it aloud, but Six Nations cued it, and he's like, "Man, I got some serious St. Pauli girl vibes going on." I'm like,
yeah,
dude.
I stood up and showed Bruce my outfit, but it's just like it's short, and then I have a little hose on.
Beer winch, amazing.
Beer winch. It's just a beer winch outfit. So I thought I'd.
You ought to come to New Braunfels when we have Wurst Fest.
I've gone to a lot of those little where they cook a whole pig,
yes.
You know, and you go and you dress up in different costumes and go to Renaissance fairs, things like that. I love that kind of stuff. Anything where I get to, you know, dress in costumes and you know, have fun. It's a lot of fun. I mean, I wish everyone understood how much fun it was. And that's why someone had said something in the chat earlier about people look at it funny when you say role playing, but basically that's all you're doing, but you're using your imagination. You're not actually dressing up. But just think how much fun that would be if you could plan out somewhere and get some kind of place, because I know they do it with zombie wars where you go in and you're either a zombie or you're one of the people that's going to try to make it through the maze without getting turned into a zombie, and you pay money. People pay money to be involved in this, and then they have to figure things out as a team to make it through this maze and not get turned into a zombie. I mean, they've done that kind of stuff. But the same thing, if you could do this, if you could write a story and then, but it wouldn't be as elaborate because it would be over, you know, in 4 hours or 10 hours or whatever, how long you wanted the story to last. And then you get people to pay. They get to choose a character. They dress up like that character, and then they play the game on a giant grid board in a huge, you know, like baseball or football arena. And you have it all set up, you know, almost like the movie where they had the pillars going up and down, and they have to roll big dice or whatever. I just think it would be a blast, and I think a lot of people would sign up to do it and have like a convention where it's 4 days. So you have all these people and it whittles down over the days to find out who the best team was or something like that. I think it would be fun. And I think someone could make a lot of money if they were smart enough to sit down and write down how to do that or how to put that together. I think it would make some money. And people would love it. It would be fun. Other gamers, you know, from around the world would want to come and be in it, I think. Oh, I'm not going to lean over the bar. Sorry, Winky. I'm not doing it.
Don't want you to fall out on stream.
Do what?
I don't want you to fall out on stream.
Oh, no. Yeah.
No.
I might. That's why they had to wear these little corset things. It was to keep everything up where it belonged. Because they didn't have brassieres, I don't think, back in this time, in Renaissance time.
Let me see. I did see your comment earlier, Crafting Gamer. I just haven't checked over to Discord yet. Let me zoom over here real quick.
Oh, he said he had it over at something. I was going to go look after we were done, but I'm afraid I'll disconnect myself. I've done that a few times, trying to go to another page.
I'll show this
while we're streaming.
You can look at this later, but I'll show this off right now. This is a good guide to help people out.
Ooh, yeah, that's really pretty.
The more crafty dice that you see, they have little cases like this, which are really creme de la creme sort of stuff. You'll spend like $15 on that.
It's really pretty.
Chessex is amazing. That's all I'm going to say. Hey, RPG Grandma, how are you tonight? Okay, Chimerian, thank you so much for being with us last night, and we will talk to you here Thursday. And I think next Saturday night, me and Chimerian are going to do a show. We're going to have a discussion on his musings.
Oh, that'll be fun.
She always looks good, doesn't she, Winky? I, I look like a potato, which is why I said I'm going to focus on the miniatures. And our viewer count went up. It's amazing. Been a gamer since the 80s. You just need dice and a big stupid box of artisan dice to roll it in. She says she's good.
Mm-hmm.
We had Amp Guard, SCA, did all that in the 90s, and it made me think of Red Fang. I remember Red Fang. I've heard of Red Fang before. Okay. With everything that we kind of covered here, we actually kind of covered the movie fast. Wasn't mean. Oh, crafting gamer. I didn't mean to sound. I didn't mean to respond like you were impatient, and I'm gonna not like get rid of that picture because that's actually a really good picture to have in a chat. Just to help out people. Because if you're running a game for new people, that's one of the best diagrams I've ever seen. That really is. And I wasn't taking it like you were being pushy. I just like, oh shit! Before I forget, let me go over here and check this out, and I'll put it over into her Discord as well. Winky Winky Woo says the shittier your dice look, the sweeter the rolls. Typically, I'll agree with that. I will definitely agree with that.
Hey, you have a huge pile of dice.
I actually have a pile for this room, and I have a pile for the front room. So this room gets the bag. And this is when you know you're making too much money in your chosen field that you start spending. Oh yeah, I'll buy that for $100. And
What is it? A vest?
It's a bag.
Oh, it's a chainmail bag.
Chainmail bag.
Yeah, to put your dice in.
Yeah.
Where do you buy your dice?
Alliance is a facility that gets to a lot of game stores.
Yeah.
There's another place called Georgia Music, I believe, but Alliance has a really good set of dice that you can just browse online. This is the set for the local game store we have in San Antonio called Night Watch Games, and this is like my favorite color scheme I've got. This is their in-house die color. I love it. They used to sell these through Chessex. This is a good size D20. We used to call this a table breaker. This is a normal size D20, so you can see why we call it the table breaker, which is why we have Thursday night table breakers. Yeah. But I really just I was in the oil field and like I went stupid hog wild. Well, yeah, I'm gonna be in the oil field forever. Nope. Never mind. But I enjoyed my time and I had the chance to buy a lot of stuff for the hobby I enjoy. So that's why I did that. Is there any questions that you have about the movie, Janet? Anything that we haven't really covered much that you want to get further on things? Because
I don't know. I mean, it was a very self-explanatory. Basically, they answered everything as they went along because he finally finished his book about writing that game and having his friends play it. So he finished it. But some of the other things that you were talking about afterward about how they got ripped off. Was they were trying to branch out and make more money to be able to do different things, and make more movies and things like that. That was sad, that there's so many people out there that are willing to, scam people, even people that want to do something fun, and make good entertainment like us right now. Look how much joy just the people have gotten to see the one movie they made, not three of them. But see, and it's sad because there's so many people out there that would love to be able to have their script made into a movie and hire people, to come in and be actors and wardrobe people and makeup and, props and all that stuff. But they just don't have the funding because they're not rich. And Hollywood doesn't want new people in. You're either in the group or you're not, unless you have somebody that brings you in. You're just shit out of luck. You know what I mean? So that means everything. That means getting parts in movies, even commercials or anything, or even writing. I know a lot of people that struggle. They write, and have made pretty good things, and it took them a long time. Some people are, older before they even get something finally made into anything, because it took them that long to beat down doors or whatever and pound the pavement to get someone to actually see it. And usually, from my where I'm at, it's a person works with another actor in a movie or a commercial, whatever, and then they get to be friends. And then over time in that relationship, they say, hey, I got a story, I want you to look at it. And they look and they go, wow, I really like this script or whatever. And then they're able to get it made because somebody that's already in the business was able to contact the right people to get their foot in the door. But a person that just writes scripts or short stories or whatever and wants someone to look at it and maybe do something with it, it's really hard, unless you know the right people. They don't care because they don't want new people in, because they want their name up there, not yours. So they'll buy it from you though. See, that's another thing. There's a whole thing on how you can sell your story, but if they buy it from you outright, then you don't get any credit for it. You're just a person that provided them with a piece of paper with a bunch of stuff written on it. They'll make a few changes to it, and then their name will be on it because they own it. Just like I think it was the Santa Claus, the movie The Santa Claus was written by a person, a starving artist or whatever, and they sold it for, I don't know, a few thousands of dollars. And they made 3 movies out of it and sold tons of merchandise, DVDs and everything, and made a lot of money off of it. And the original person that wrote it didn't get anything out of it, basically, besides a few dollars to pay their bills. So, I just think that's sad because to me, like the lady that wrote the Harry Potter series, basically she was eating out of garbage cans before she finally got someone to finally read one of her stories and was like, wow, this is really good. Just to get the books published, and it changed her whole life. And she was a good writer, but just the depth of the Harry Potter books, think about it. So, you either know someone or you don't. And these guys didn't know anyone, but because they had enough friends that were willing to want to see this come to life, they were able to make the very first movie. And we saw what some of them look like. They didn't have anything. I mean, they were probably living all in the same place or with their parents or who knows what when they first started doing it. But they cared enough about and wanted it so bad that they were willing to do whatever it took. And that's the ones that make it somewhere, or are more successful, the ones that aren't going to give up or have other means of making money, another means of income while they're doing the other things, because most people aren't able to make a living, just being an extra or a boom operator for this little area that makes a few movies or whatever. And they have to travel somewhere where they make lots of movies and then try to get in somewhere to be able to work in the movies, to be a lighting person or a person that just lays cable or carries batteries for the cameras, all that stuff. There's so many different jobs. That's why if you sit and watch the very end of the movie, when all the people's names go by and you stop and read them, that's a lot of people involved in making one movie. It's really shocking. I mean, you might have 50 people that work for Crafty, and that's all they do is make sure that there's food on every set for the second crew, which are the people that do like people walking across the street, or crashes and stuff where the actors aren't really involved. You don't really have to have an actor, or you have hand doubles, that are reaching and doing stuff on a table or whatever. And then they edit it all together and it looks like the actor's doing all these things, but it's really just a small part that the actor's actually doing. The rest is all done by other people. So, and they get all the glory for it. The director and the people whose names are up there real big, and everybody else's is real tiny. The ones that do most of the stuff to actually make a movie. So it's just that's why it's called movie magic, because it's so intriguing and exciting. If you ever get to go and just watch, if you find that they're going to be filming a movie somewhere, just go and just stand out there and watch what they do. It's really boring. I mean, it really is, because most of the day it's just setting up the lights, taking the lights down, setting up the boom, setting up this or this scene or whatever props they're going to need. And then the actor comes out, they do a few shots, and then the actor leaves, and then they start taking everything down and go to the next place. So most of it is preparing, prepping, getting ready. That's what you have a stand-in for. The stand-in stands there while they do all the lights and the microphone checks and everything else for hours and hours. Then the actor comes in and works for an hour or so, and they're done. And then they set up for the next scene, and the stand-in goes and does that, stands there. And they want someone that's like around the same height, the same body build, same hair color and stuff, because when the lights are on their skin and on their hair, they will know what it's going to look like when the actors are in there. So that, so that's, it just depends, but it's interesting stuff. And to see these young people slowly, progressively become real actors, they're not just pretending anymore. They're now portraying someone else. I think it's really awesome. So, but yeah.
Hey, Kronos, how you doing, sir?
Hi, Kronos.
I really found this movie to be so great on a lot of different levels. I don't mean to sound like I'm just like eating it up, and anything Matt Vancil writes is gold, but for a while there, he was doing no wrong. He put out some fun movies, and he put out things that were doing really good up to about 2015, 2016, when we started getting reports of TDS. And that's kind of when things my own personal opinion, that's when the wheels came off for this company.
Mm-hmm.
And they're trying to get everything back, but I hate to say that, but like there's a lot of people in the film industry that thought they could get ahead just by rating and raving against a president. And I probably am the flip side of that coin, because I rant and rave about a cokehead that's got a daughter that the president doesn't care about. And I know that sounds terrible, but I'm the flip side of that. And there's a lot of people like me, and I'm sorry for you guys that hear that and you roll your eyes. I don't know what else to say, but a lot of people in 2015, they kept their identity open by blasting Trump. And that was just something that if I heard that, I probably didn't buy a lot of products from that person after that. And that was one of the reasons why I really stopped buying a lot of shit from Paizo, the guys that make Pathfinder, because I don't want you to make money if you want to be a Marxist.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want you. I want you in Food Lines. You're the exact person that we need to feed for free. And then you go back to your little closet space hotel or studio apartment that you get paid for because you don't like capitalism. And I don't want those people to make money. And I'm sorry, but that's just how I feel.
It's funny, Bruce, is that when you get to work on a movie set, depending on whether it's a movie or a TV series or a music video, something like that, and you get to sit with the other people while you're getting your hair done, or they're doing your makeup, or you're waiting for the wardrobe to bring you your clothes, and whatever show you're on, depending on what theme that they're going by, or if it's a 80s or 90s or in the 1920s or whatever, or it's a Western. And you're doing all that, and you're talking to all these people because you're hanging out with people for, all day. 16 might be 16-hour day that you're working, depending on what scenes they're working on that day. So you get to meet a lot of these people, and when you start talking to them day after day after day, because you might have a part that you end up working on the scene, different scenes, because you get your scenes filmed while you're there. So you might be there for 13 days. Okay, so say it takes 13 days. That's a long time when you spend 16 hours a day with people, right? Mm-hmm. And then you start realizing these people are just like you. They just want to pay lower taxes. They just want this, that, and the other. And believe me, they're not thinking like the person that's making, 10 times what they're making. This person's making an hourly wage that's doing your hair, your makeup, and things like that. And the actors that come in are making a check for like, $400,000. And they're not really, they just come in and do a few scenes and then they're finished. And these people are working every single day, for the whole 3-month time or whatever amount of time it takes to make the movie. And then if they film, let's say they film some in Alabama, and then they go to California and do some in the studio, and then they move them to Montana because it's a Western, and then they film some stuff there. So depending on the job that they have or what their character is, depending on where they are, what they're going to film. And, sometimes you're in trailers, you just got these trailers all lined up, and everybody's got their trailers, and there's bathrooms in one trailer's for makeup, one's for crafty, one's for wardrobe. So it you just show up, and it's just a job, to a lot of these people. But to the other ones, the big ones that show up, most people just go, they're so used to them. Seeing these people, they're not like falling over anymore. But then you have people where they have the security, and the people are like, because some actor happens to be there, and everyone else just goes, this is no big deal to them, because it's just a job. It's something they do every day. It may not be on this set or that one, but they're doing the same type of work. An electrician or a person that carries bags and boxes for the director, or they're an assistant to this person, or like a couple actresses might have 3 assistants because they have one and they have their own makeup person or their own hair person. So, they accommodate all these different people. And just like I said, you have the camera, the director with all the stuff, and then behind him is like 7 or 8, 10 chairs, the tall ones that look like director's chairs, and it's for all the people that have invested, producers, different people, and they bring family and stuff. So you got tons of people just moving around all the time, and trying to get people to call them, make sure you be quiet when they says, to be quiet while they're getting ready to film. So it's just a lot of chaos going on, and you have to have a lot of people to make sure that the people are where they're supposed to be at the time they're supposed to be. And as long as you have good people, like a good script supervisor, good prop manager or whatever, everything runs really smooth. But when you start putting in people that don't know what they're doing, that's when you start having problems. Like you could tell what happened with that one person getting their gun going off and shooting people, and they end up dying. That's not a good thing. So there's just a lot of things you have to have. And you might have a scene where 5 or 6 people are going to be in water up to their waist. Well, guess what? You have to have a diver there. Even though it's not really deep, they still have someone that's a professional that can pull them out of the water if they drown or get tangled up in a rope or whatever it is. So it's just very technical, very expensive. If you have an animal on set, a dog or a cat or a bird, or chickens or whatever, you have to have people from like PETA that make sure that nobody's going to hurt the animals, and the animals are being cared for and they're getting water. If you have children, the children can only work so many hours a day, and they have to have breaks in between so many hours, things like that. So you have someone else there to make sure they are doing that. It's just a lot. People don't realize there's a lot in there. That's why when you got to see the ending of this movie and you see the credits going by, there's a lot of people in there. And if you go back and research what each one of those jobs are, that's just a lot of people and a lot of things that had to be done to make this one movie. And this wasn't even a a big budget film. This was very limited budget too, and not as small as some of the other ones that they've done, as any movie. But you could definitely see the difference when you added a little bit more money and a little bit, and you could read on there was an acting coach, so you could definitely tell that they were better. You know what I mean? In their scenes that they were in, more believable as actors because they did have professional help. So I think it made a big difference. Did you, Bruce?
I'm sorry, I was replying to Patty's Parlor over on Rumble. And
That's
so
okay.
I'm going to ask you to repeat your question one more time, and I know that sounds bad.
Oh, it's okay. I just was asking, could you tell a difference from the other two movies that we watched compared to this one in their acting abilities?
Before I give my complete answer, I want to just highlight Mr. Dungeon Master James, who is kind enough to send us a $5 super chat.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I'm wearing a wench outfit. Because they had the director's wife was serving them in the little tavern. So I thought I'd dress like that, but I wore a blonde wig like the sorceress.
If you guys remember that scene in the tavern, the bard whispered something in her ear. Is she hot? Well, I'm going to seduce her. And then he takes her in the back room. And after about 3 or 4 minutes, he comes back because he's, just a regular guy. He doesn't seem to have like a huge constitution bonus. As far as this movie is concerned, appreciate that, DM James. I watched most of your video before prep and was enjoying that, and I had to start this stream, but really appreciate your Monday night, sir. And if you guys want to know more about Warhammer or other non-D&D games, Dungeon Master James is an amazing host, and he has quite an active chat. I know a lot of you go over there already, but I'll put his channel in the chat here. Now, on that question, Janet asked me if I was thinking this movie had a lot of professional growth between both the characters and the ability for the actors to transition from being very poor actors or untrained and untested actors from the early days like 1999 when they filmed the first Gamers movie to now. And you can see a huge growth for everybody. Jin Page, who played the sorceress on half the scenes of this movie, she was in the bar scene in the first film right before the guy exploded because he got backstabbed with a ballista. He was the one serving drinks.
Yeah.
She's also in your 3rd edition player's handbook as the halfling thief. There's a lot of information about the people that are in this movie and how they tie into the professional world of game design and gamers, companies, and all that. But as far as acting is concerned, everybody leveled up. I'm so absolutely happy that this movie has just a good legacy. Nobody seems to find this film to be like not their cup of tea. If you're a gamer, you love this film. This is like your film that you show your friends. This is still a movie like 15 years after it came out. We're still showing each other this movie. This is like the same level of love many of us fanatics have for this film because it convinced us that this was actually going on. Mm-hmm. Not their fantasy life, but they were playing a game at a game store and then later at Lodge's abode. And they were able to interact and do all of these wonderful things in the game. And the GM was able to facilitate them because they had a good rule set. And he was just letting them have fun with their characters. He wasn't trying to manipulate and lord over them. Yes, he had an NPC cop with him. He had a paladin. But he was trying to do everything he could to let them dictate how they would advance the story. Mm-hmm. And he was trusting Joanna enough to let that happen because she knows a good story. She's in theater. One of the things she's doing, and one of the parts where she starts to really get at what she's doing, she's in the theater and she's just kind of fiddling around with a pole arm, and she has one of those moments where she actually forgets she's in a theater and she's in character, and then everybody's staring at her, and that's my best.
And some of them were clapping when she was done.
Yeah.
Because they thought it was pretty cool that what she did, the way she was spinning the spear and everything, which was great. And that's what I was talking about earlier about role playing, about why do so many people, look down at people that are into that, like going to Comic Cons or going to what I was talking about earlier, where you get to dress up at Renaissance fairs and things like that. Lots of people are into it. And, or going to, like me, I went to the Star Trek experience like 17 times in Las Vegas, or I could dress up and get kidnapped by the Borg, or, and it was fun. And it's fun when people want to have your picture taken with you because they like your costume. That's almost like, I can't even explain it. It's just awesome. You feel awesome when someone goes, wow, you look great. Can I get my picture with you? It's just fun. I mean, I had a shirt on, the Chive shirt, and it had Bill Murray on it. Okay. And it was, I can't remember exactly what it said, but it was something about what he always says. And I can't remember what it was, but I had that on one day, and I was just wearing shorts and that t-shirt. And I had people stop and take the picture with me because they liked my shirt because it had Bill Murray on it. And, but it was a Chive, for the Chive website. And then they have, they have some real choice pictures on the Chive. Does anybody know what the Chive is?
I remember the Chive. We used to have beer.
Mind the Gap. Do you remember that?
Yes.
How popular Mind the Gap was? Okay, so good. I love Chive. I thought they were, that what was brother and sister that did it. And I thought they were really talented. I mean, they were really smart, the way they marketed it and everything. So Bill, that's what they said, Bill fucking Murray. And they were like, hey, can I get a picture taken with you? So I had a lot of people that wanted to do it. They just love that shirt. I wish I knew what happened to it. I don't remember it. I have to dig around and see if it's in one of my drawers now that I'm thinking about it. But, you just never know. But the thing is nothing wrong with enjoying yourself when you're out and about, or you want to go to a Renaissance fair and eat roast pig, or eat a giant turkey leg, run around and dressed up like a King Henry VIII or something. Why? I don't understand why people think that's so wrong to do that kind of stuff. Why that's immature. I think I love it. I think it's fun. I wish more people were willing to not be embarrassed or to, want to dress up in costumes of your favorite superhero or whatever and go and have fun. I mean, it's a memory that you'll have forever, and I don't know. I just wish more people understood what that was like, and they would just not be so paranoid that, wow, someone's going to laugh at me or someone's going to make fun of me. Well, I was a nerd my whole life, so I got made fun of a lot. And my sisters were some of the worst ones to me. So that's the way it is.
Yeah. And I would go to the San Marcos one, but I've seen photos and it's kind of a different scene than what I'm used to. If it was in earnest, like we're going to RP all day, it's going to be a LARP. So you want to take a $200, $300 outfit there and you want to look your best, and okay, that's fine. I would go with that. It's really not about that. It's just more like just not being yourself. And so there's like two varieties of it. You have one that's kind of like kid friendly, and you have one not so much. And I'm staying over by the kid friendly stuff. Not that I don't want to see saucy wenches and like amazing thighs.
Well, that's what I do too. When I was in New Orleans, I would tell people, well, who's coming with you for Mardi Gras? And they say, oh, I'm going to bring my mom or whatever. And I say, okay, well, then you need to go to Metairie to their parade because it's like family friendly, and you're not going to see a bunch of people with dildo hats on and, boobs hanging out. If you go down the quarter, you're going to expect to see adult content. That's just what it offers. So I tell people, if you come to visit and you're ready to see boobs, and where to go. But if you don't want to see boobs and you want to see friendly stuff, then you go to Metairie. on Veterans Boulevard and watch the parades and stuff. We're
Legion Mega
safe.
said something. He's like, and him and I, we agree on this completely. Do not make being a nerd mainstream. I'd rather be bullied like I was in high school and junior high than dealing with wannabe weirdos in the hobby today. Because, like, I don't mind if you want to be a weirdo, that's fine. More than likely, if you want to be a complete weirdo, my table will be probably separate from yours, but you can have your table. But I don't want you to try to dictate how my table operates. And that's my biggest problem with the hobby today. They have so many requirements. Like if you want to go to a convention, 80% of them say put a mask on. Well,
Mhm.
I'm not going to those 80% of those. That's nowhere near where I'm going.
Yeah.
And I'm going to have the amazing time of just hanging out with my friends. And I've learned that I can actually put on almost a convention in my apartment every 2 weeks by having my game, and I've got a 9-player game for the most part. 8 or 9 players will show up, and we have a blast. You know,
And
either it'll be online
the
or
people that come to your house, that you invite over to your house, that play the game with you, and they see all what you have in your office, they are in awe of you. I guarantee it. And that's what's real exciting. Sometimes I've had a few people come to work on cable or a pipe or something like that, and then they'll see something in my dining room or something, because I have a lot of collectibles, in different places, and they're like, "Wow, you collect this?" And I'm like, "Yeah, you." And then they'll say, "I go, do you want to see some more?" They go, "Yeah," and I bring them in here in my office, and they go, "Holy shit, you got some great stuff," and they like it. Then other people might see it and say, they just look at it like, that there was no way they would even be interested in looking. So I don't, I just don't say anything. I have one sister that says, "Wow, you're very eclectic," because none of the frames match or anything, but I don't care about frames. I care about what's in the frame, more than anything. And it's important to me. I even have almost all this stuff on my will of who is going to get specific things. Some of my friends have showed interest in certain things, and different things will go to my kids or my friends or my family. And a couple of them, the ones that say, "Well, how much is it worth?" Then I'm like, "Never mind." Yeah, so I just leave. They don't get nothing. If that's all they're thinking about is how much is it worth, and they're not interested in it for what it's supposed to be. So I'm not going to give them any of my stuff. So but I can help it. I'm a nerd, and I'm proud to be a nerd. And I'm not embarrassed about it. Even on my Twitter, it says I love comic books and I love Star Trek.
that's
So
something I really appreciate about you too, because like you can talk Star Trek. Like I already have a stream I watch with Star Trek nerds in it, and that's Klobby and Raquel. And by the way, if you like Deep Space Nine, if you like Deep Space Nine, don't watch their stream. They're wonderful people. They are really wonderful people, but they will you'll want to see the episodes yourself and have your own thoughts before you watch your streams, because
yeah.
they are not gentle with episodes they feel was less.
But most people that come to their stream have already seen this stuff, and they asked us, the chat, what we thought about this episode once they discuss it and stuff, and we grade it up and down, A, B, a 90% or whatever, just depending on what it is that they ask. And that's what I like about it, is that they love it, but they absolutely love Star Trek. Period. You can tell it just they just exude, their love for it. But they have a lot of disdain on certain things about how it was handled after certain people were no longer around. And I don't blame them for that, because I do too. So I agree with them a lot on a lot of their choices, but we don't always agree on what episode we think is best, or whether a certain actor portrayed a certain character better or not. But that's what's good about it, is that you get to be yourself and you're accepted for it. And I like that. I'm all for it.
I like I said, I don't mind the LARPing and like there's a couple. They're the Texas Renaissance Festival, huge, probably the largest one of the largest in the country, and it is an amazing place to go, and you can see some interesting things there. There's like there's a family friendly side, there's a not so family friendly side, but I would probably be hanging out with Thorin, who makes his own mead variety. And I don't know if you can buy Thorin's mead up where you're at, Janet. I know you're not too much farther north than I am, but Thorin's mead is quite tasty if you like mead. And just saying for anybody out there, Thorin's mead, if you like mead, should try that.
Yeah, I don't really like beer or any type of that kind of drink.
You've never had mead? Have you had mead or no?
Yes, I've had mead.
Okay.
I had relatives in Maine that made mead, and they made dandelion wine and some other like corn whiskey or something like that. So they're like hillbilly folks, but they live in Maine, and they don't have a hillbilly accent. They have a Maine accent on my dad's side of the family, because my dad's from New York, and a lot of his relatives are from Nova Scotia, and all up in New England. And my mom's family's all from Oklahoma, Texas, and I think Alabama, but I don't really remember that part of the family that much. But Oklahoma and Texas definitely, because she was born in Denton, Texas. My mother.
I like Denton, Texas. A lot of people don't. I understand it's a college town and it's different. It wants to be Austin. I get it. But Denton, Texas also has my favorite building in Texas, and that's the Reaper Miniatures corporate headquarters, where I can go and buy new miniatures or paintbrushes. And they have a convention coming up, and I really need to go there. Um, Old school Klingons. Yeah, I prefer Star Trek One's Klingons to all the other Klingons. Um, we have some fans of mead in the chat, which is great. Mead is not beer, correct? It's a typically a wine product, a white wine product with honey. If you don't like beer, that's fine. I like beer quite a bit. I'm on a binge of purging myself right now. I've been sober for 15 days. I'm just trying to get this straight before I go and I do my colonoscopy with the VA.
You talking about these Kronos?
Beads?
No, these
Oh,
straps.
okay.
That's supposedly what holding up my skirt.
Okay.
He was asking in the chat. So why does it look like I'm being held up by strings? Or are you talking about these? These are lights. They're hanging behind me above my curtain. Sorry. I was just trying to answer his questions.
Shindig? I'm an Animaniac. It could be a shindig. Quasi to the max. College Town provides cheap RPG books on secondhand markets. I don't knock college towns too much. No, and as much as I do absolutely hate Austin, Texas. I do like the fact that if I want to go up there, like I need to go up there soon and get some things straightened out with my plumbing license and get an endorsement put on there. Um, I I could go to any RPG store and pretty much fill in a couple collections I've got just on the things that they are going to have, and I already know this. I leave a Buffy episode. Bruce, I have a beer belly. Yes, I have a beer belly. I need to get rid of it, but it's going away slowly. 2 weeks without beer on a daily basis. I would drink 4 beers a day, and so I'm like, okay, I need to slim down a bit. Don't need to be pushing further than a 40
Has
inch
it
belly.
helped? Has it
Yeah,
helped?
yeah, it has.
Because when it's like 16 years ago, I wanted to go on a diet, one of those diets, and I cut out all soda pop, and I didn't lose 1 pound. So I must not have really drank as much as I thought I was drinking. But
I'm down to 255, so, and I'm
that's
shorter
good,
than you.
isn't it?
Yeah, I'm shorter than you. That's really not a healthy weight. So, um, this is like one of my favorite movies. RPG Grandma says, "I've got to go and get family. Have a great night. Thank you, Bruce and Janet." RPG Grandma, you're welcome
Thank
to.
you for coming.
you're welcome to come in here and provide chatter, firepower, and such. One of these days, we'll need to have a panel with you on it in here because I I I like you. I like your perspective as a gamer, and I really do appreciate what you bring to other people's streams. Grumpy, we've already covered the St. Pauli girl. I had the poster after my uncle died. It was great. Um, St. Pauli girl is not the greatest beer in my opinion, though. I do like their Oktoberfest. I I got to say that this is like, as far as films go, I would rate this movie probably an 89. And I know I'm weighing it very heavy compared to other films, uh, but I get more out of this movie than a lot of other people because this movie hits my hobby. So if I wasn't a hobbyist in this hobby, if I wasn't painting miniatures all the time, I would say this movie's an 80% out of 100.
Mhm.
But I think this movie, I've shared this movie, I've bought DVDs of this movie for my friends and family. I've I've not bought so many copies of a movie for other people's collections like I have this film. Because in the hobby, you bump into a lot of people that they have low wage jobs, they don't have a lot of options. And I mean that I'm not saying that all RPers are poor or tabletoppers are poor. I'm not, but a lot of my friends in Illinois were, and just where you decide you're going to live and raise your family will limit you. That just kind of hurts you. And I love this movie so much that I probably have spent over $180 on this film to buy other people copies of this DVD. And I want people to understand that this is exactly the type of movie that you buy somebody if you love them, if you like their company, if you want to spend 6 to 8 hours a weekend or a week or more. This movie is exactly what I would do. This is the film I would buy that for. Like, a lot of my gamer friends have this in their collections because of me, because I was the one that told them about the first one. And so I think this is probably one of the more influential films I've watched because of my closeness with the hobby. And I can look at various scenes where I'm like, hey, that's the WotC offices where the Amazons or where the ninjas are delivering pizzas trying to avoid the pirates. And so this is kind of one of those films, like for me it's that movie that you would watch to get all the various Easter eggs, and I've done everything I can to enjoy every Easter egg I can about this film. This is the film that I want my friends to understand whenever I'm referencing something. They could probably watch this movie and understand it a little more in a conversational sense.
Mm-hmm.
So if you haven't seen this, if you've not seen this movie, let me know. I'll send you the link. If you just Google it, it will pop up. You can watch it on YouTube for free. And there's not many movies that YouTube will let you get away with doing that. This is one of those films that most gamers will pass around like a VHS copy or a DVD copy of it. Be like, hey, when you get time, you got to watch this, man. And that was everybody I knew from 2008 to 2010. And we all had the CRT monitors because a lot of us didn't upgrade until the mid 2000s, mid 20s.
Mm-hmm.
So we still had like this 30-inch case with a 19-inch monitor on the inside trying to do our 3D work or such. And it was just obscene, but that was exactly how we were going through the hobby. That was exactly how we were playing through all of this. And this movie means a lot to me. So I want everybody that, if you want to understand what I'm talking about, if you've not seen the movie yet, I'll get it posted for you. I want you to understand that this is a film that many in the industry, this is the gold standard. There was a new D&D movie that just came out Janet rang a bell.
What are you talking about?
No, they're saying Bruce missed it. Ring it again. um, this is one of those films that everybody compares gold standard to. There's a D&D movie that just came out like 6 months ago, and
I really liked it, and I know a lot of people didn't because for whatever reason, the people that made the movie they didn't like or something. But I loved it. I felt like it's like I told you after I got to talk to you the day after I watched it. I took Sandy with me, and I just loved it. I was like so excited. The whole thing when they were interviewing all the dead people with the token from the cleric, I just loved it. I just thought it was so funny, and it was almost like that's what I said about the big game. What if we could really do that? Get a group of people and as a team, and you dress in your character and you portray your character, and you have a board, a big board like you have on your table. And we have different teams that have to have quests and make it across this board, and earn points or whatever, like we do, and then see who wins at the end by how much treasure or gold they collect, and how many points they get, depending on how they succeed across the board. I think it would be a lot of fun, and I think a lot of teams would sign up to do it. A 4-day event or something, like a Gamers Con or something. You know what I mean? Don't you think that would be fun?
That would be great.
And then your whole team would be your GM, and if your GM writes this game, a 4-day game or something like that, and they submit them, right? And then you have judges or whatever that pick the different games. Like they say, the top 6 games get to compete on this giant grid, where everybody can come and watch, and you can have like they could sell like a big Comic-Con, but they'll be selling like dice and other things for the gamers to purchase, in the lobby area, and for vendors. And then you have the competition, and people can sit and watch as the different teams work their way through. But the thing is, the 6 games that were chosen by the whoever they pick, to choose the games, they give the game to different people, the different groups. So like your group will get someone else's game, and Bruce would play it, because you're our master, but you would be like our leader of our group on our quest. And we're playing another team's that submitted their game will be playing their game through the grid. And then the other people over there are playing the game you wrote, and they play it through the grid. You see, like that. And that's how it's graded. We get graded on the winning gamer, or the one who wrote the game, wins something, and then the different teams can win depending on what place they come in. But just to get the joy of going there to watch other people playing live, I just think it would be really cool. And then go to the vendors and things like that during the days. And then at the end, you have an award ceremony where you have your king or whoever, hand out the trophies and stuff to the people that were able to finish the quest or whatever. I just think it would be a lot of fun for people like us. I mean, Comic-Cons are huge money. I don't see why people wouldn't be wanting to do something like that if somebody was to come up with that idea and actually implement it. That would be something I'd be interested in going to. Even if I didn't get to play in the game, just to get to go and interact with other people that love it as much as we do,
Yeah. There was you want 4 days of gaming and all that. That sounds like a convention. That's
what I mean, a convention. But the convention is centered around the big game that's played. After so many, like 3 days, it takes 3 games, 3 days, and the game that you wrote, if you win and get chosen, then one of the teams get to play your game across the grid. I just think it would be really fun.
That'd be a lot of fun. I'm not disagreeing with you. I would love to see that. I would love to see everybody in our table be able to be at the same table, because there's something special. There's something magical about having a game table full of your friends, to where you don't have to look like you're staring into Zordon at the
because they do
edge of
that
the
too
table.
with poker, the
Yeah.
World Poker Tour, and they have this people play here, there, wherever, and you're earning points. And if you earn enough points, then you get to go to the bigger game. See, and then the big game is televised, and it dwindles it down to the last 9 players at the table. And I love watching that. I love Texas Hold'em. That's one of my favorite poker games.
That's
And I have won tournaments, believe it or not. I've won money playing
cool.
Texas Hold'em. And no, I don't dress like this when I play poker. So
she comes in as the distraction.
no, it doesn't work that way, believe me. But it's funny though, because it's so funny how a lot of women win a lot because they go all in and all the guys fold because they assume that because she went all in, she has to have a really good hand or they would call her, But I've seen that happen a lot, especially if the girl's really pretty. They fold because she can't be that smart to outsmart.
I don't know. I really I could see you doing that. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to say anything sexist or negative, but
I have done that, and it works sometimes. But you have to, learn your table. Figure out whether these people are intimidated if I was to go all in. And if you win one hand, you win a really good hand, and you win all in when you had this really good hand. The next time you say you push your chips over, and everybody just goes fold. They just start folding because they think that she had 3 aces earlier. I went all in on a tournament. It was me, one guy, and me. We were the last 2, and it was for the big pot. And this wasn't the one I won the very last table, but I had. On the table was 4s. Okay, there was 3 4s laying on the table, in the flop and the way that they had it all set up. And then I had 3 aces. Okay, and so I had a full house, aces over 4s. So that's how I went all in. The guy called me, and I was like, I stood up. I was so excited, and guess what? He had a 4 in his hand. So he beat me. But it was so exciting, and everybody was patting me on the back and shaking my hand and stuff, saying, wow, that was damn good. A good hand, because we were raising and going back and forth. And then the very last card that was played was a 4. So he had a 4 of a kind, 4 4s. So I was like, shit. But oh well, it was exciting. And I get to play that in Deadwood, North Dakota. That was really fun.
So, what would you rate this movie? I've already given my rating.
I would say I would give it's a higher number, like a 9, because I really feel like because of the progression that I actually seen in the actors that portrayed the different characters, and the concept behind it, and the work that I know that they went through to make it successful, and the improvement from first, second, and this third one, definitely. I thought they were really, really good, and I loved it. I thought it was a really, really good movie, and I really enjoyed it. I laughed through the whole thing. They kept my attention through the whole movie. I understood what was going on. They didn't leave anything out. There wasn't gaps in the story. I just liked it. I just thought it was very well done for editing. The music, it was kind of corny, but that's what you expect, with this type of movie. It was better than I was expecting. I'll say that.
Okay.
When you were telling me about it and stuff, and it was the same, people and stuff, I wasn't expecting it to be as good as it was, but I enjoyed it a lot. So I'd give it a 9.
I would give it an 85 out of 100. That was just and for me that's really high. My highest rated movie I've ever reviewed is Big Trouble in Little China.
Yeah, let's say.
So there's it's not beating that. I'm sorry, guys, but this is a movie that I've bought numerous times for various people, and this is still a film that if I find out one of my friends doesn't have this in their collection, I try to fix that. So this is the movie that I really try to shove on the people that are in a hobby, because it really is for me the best version of the hobby. I did like the movie for Dungeons and Dragons 2023. I thought it was well done. I did not like some of the things of it. There's some editing mistakes. It does not rate nearly as high as this. Not saying I hated it, but when I say a 3-star movie, that's an honest 3-star rating. I'd give it like a 62 or 65, and that's not bad. That's three out of 5 stars. Understand that, and the D&D movie had a lot of money behind it, had a lot of wizardry into it with the special effects and CGI. I did not like some of the aspects where they skipped over things with like they did the windows wrong. And I know that sounds bad. I look at sets now whenever I watch a movie really, really hard because of my time with Janet in here. And this is one of those films that it doesn't rate nearly as high as the Gamer's Dorkness Rising. The Gamer's Dorkness Rising for me is a solid 85. That's almost, we're going into 5-star.
That's almost an Academy Award coming from you.
Yeah, and that's just that for me, that's high praise. And there's very few movies I give high praise to, because a lot of movies I think really aren't that good. And there's 10 or 12 movies I have in my collection that would go with me on a desert island, and the others I have like 200, 300 films. I'd throw them in the water, let the sharks have them. And I've already seen them. There's no need for me to watch it again. I'll watch it if me and you are going to look at it, because I have to refresh, but I don't get worried about it. And so this movie here, I'll watch over and over again.
Well, the one thing that I really liked about it was the budding romance that was coming out. You know how I am with that kind of stuff. I'm a sucker for romance. Anything that has to do with romance. And just like the scene in that movie that you wanted me to watch with John Belushi's brother, and he got tied into that circle thing and she was spinning him around. And that was my favorite scene. The little love thing that was going on there between her and him in that scene. That was my favorite scene in that movie. But this one, what I thought was so cute, because at the very beginning, you see him come home and he walks down the hallway and you see him step over the drunk guy and all the bottles of beer laying around him. And then he goes in his room, he puts the keys away before when he goes down the hall. It's the same routine over and over when he gets home, right? And it's so sad. He's just sitting there in front of his computer and he just seems, he's lonely, he's sad, he's stuck in a rut, that type of thing. And then after his night that he got to hang out with, I can't remember her name was it Melinda? Joanna. Okay. When he got to spend the night with Joanna, not spend the night with her, but spent hours with her talking about all kinds of different things. And then he gets a little, he gets a little chipper, he's like got a little flash in his step, and he's smiling without even realizing he's smiling. And when he comes into his house and he has a little more oomph when he puts the keys in there and he's going down the hallway and say, "Hey, how you doing?" to the drunk guy. He just seemed, you could see him progressively getting happier and enjoying his life a little more, and not being so like, humdrum life, He's got something to look forward to on a daily basis. You know what I mean? It changed his perspective on what his life could be because of who he might have in it. That type of thing. I just thought that was so romantic. And I absolutely love that. I thought they had really good chemistry, those two actors. And he was so adorable as the, the paladin with the blonde wig on and the funny shield with the round circle on the front of it and stuff. I just thought he was adorable. So that's what I liked the most about it. That's what, the parts in that movie that I really liked.
I'm almost done pretty much talking about all the things I love about this film. The only negative about this film is that they can't do it again, and that for me sucks. That's the big negative of this movie. A lot of movies they don't get near the quality of love in this movie that you have for this film on set, but they believed in this movie really hard. The only movie I can think of that really would be close to this, and Janet is off screen because of her allergies, guys.
Sorry, I was wiping my nose and getting me something to drink.
Okay.
Because
I want
it
you to
happens every
understand.
night.
Yeah, this is her routine. It's 9:30, so she's the meds are off, and she needs to pop them and get them back going again because
Yeah, I
she
start getting
is.
really stuffed up, and my eyes start watering.
Yeah,
It's terrible. But hopefully, it's my allergies are all year round, so I'm doing shots. So hopefully, in a couple more years, it won't be so bad.
I'm keeping this comment up for the moment. Yawn. Ice Pirates was better than the new D&D flick. Sorry. I'm going to nominate Ice Pirates for one of our nights we do a viewing because I've seen that movie for about 2 minutes and I didn't really like it much. But now that time has gone on, I've watched it over a couple different times and I appreciate it much more now. The ending still gets me upset, but I like the movie now. I did not like it when it first came out. And I really don't want to
Oh,
go.
I love the never-ending story.
I knew that was going to be. I knew Janet was going to say
Well,
that.
Kronos, and was saying that play the never-ending story. It's a good movie, and when the princess came out at the end when they broke that the real pretty bulb that was at the end of the staff, she reminded me of the princess from the never-ending story. Did she remind you of her?
Yeah, she did actually, and there's a lot of reasons for that. I think there's that was a direct homage to the Neverending Story because this movie had a few points where like you had things that were said, and now granted they were mainly things that are said from gaming companies or on gaming products, but this movie had a lot of instances where things were going on, and if you caught it, you'd hear things like the monk. The monk was doing his best Robert Stack. I don't know if you caught that or not, but he was trying to do a Robert Stack impersonation throughout the whole film.
No, I didn't catch that.
Fluorescent, and it's one of those things that if you understood some of the jokes that were going on at the time, probably behind the scenes, he was being told to talk with a different accent, and so he just started imitating Robert Stack, and they kept it. So that worked a little bit for him.
The kid that played the young man that played the demon guy at the end with the tattoos on his head. Why did he look so familiar to me? Is he in other stuff?
He might be. Let me check the IMDb.
Because something about him reminded me of 4 or 5 different movies. The way the wildness in his eyes and stuff. I just cannot remember I don't know. Different things popped in my head. Just like when you saw the princess, she reminded me of the Neverending Story. And there was this
a lot of weight. She
dropped
a lot of weight from the first movie to the second movie.
Mm-hmm.
She in the first movie when she's walking, all of my men of culture that I know love the scene of the camera watching her go down the hallway because she's got this wonderfully jiggly butt. My men of culture. I'm here.
Oh, she was the girl that kept telling him to shut up.
Yeah, that girl.
Oh, really? Well, she looks beautiful as a princess. I loved her.
I think she was supposed to be Therian, the goddess Therian.
Well, the gown they put on her, the way they had her hair up, and the beautiful way that they had the aura around her, they did a really good job. I don't know how they did it or whatever. And the weasel guy that they got to play the priest, he was perfect for the part. I thought he did a really good job as the priest, the evil priest. Or
Yeah,
good
I
priest.
liked, and that was Ed Gibbs. I'm trying to find the. Where's Razul? Dang it! No, I don't need that. Give me the top cast. Ed Gibbs plays in as a Hierophant, and he was also in the Demon Hunters Brotherhood orientation video. And in 2014, he was in House Rules TV series. Okay, gamers top cast. Yeah, Talus Moore played Drazul, and he also played the Noble.
He was tiny.
He's
He
small.
looked like a little kid to me. Was he a little kid then?
I don't know. They don't have a lot of information on here. I'll just share this so you guys can see this. And I know we're geeking out on IMDb. How dare us? This is a young kid that was playing that demon in the movie. He's in the movie called Dark Horse. He's in Portal Runner, which is supposed to be pretty okay if you like Portal.
What about the guy at the very end with the shaved head and the tattoo on top of his head? Who was he? That's the one I was thinking. I don't know who. It's the same guy?
No.
Oh, I was going to say, because it didn't look the same.
Now, my favorite character in this entire film is not the Bard. Don Early played the guy with the tattoos on his head and the funky haircut. Don Early was the president of Zombie Orpheus for a while, I believe.
I don't know what that is.
He was one of the heads of the company, and he's in a lot. If you're into indie gaming movies, he's kind of a big fella. He was in Demon Hunters. He was a producer for The Gamers, Dead Camper Lake. Acting. Okay. He was in
was the really tiny guy that crawled under the table and went and sat next to Joanna's character. Was he in the first movie too?
I don't believe so.
Yeah, I was to say I kept trying to. You can't help but do that. Try to think of the other people that's in there, and when you see someone, you think you might recognize them from being in the other movies. But what was funny with me, the guy that played the Bard, that whole character reminded me of the guy from The Witcher, the goofy Bard from that. And then when I saw the other movie, the new one that came out, if I hadn't watched the Witcher, I wouldn't even have understood what that character was supposed to be, because I really didn't understand it. And I've not watched or watched any of these games like the one we're playing that had a Bard in it. So I wouldn't have really understood what they were supposed to be doing. I saw them in Game of Thrones, a couple people like that, but it wasn't, in the gamer's point of view at that time. So I thought it was hilarious though.
Okay, so he is in Knights of the Dinner Table. They did an episode or two of that, which really, that's a sore subject for me. There was an embezzlement that went on with that.
That's what you guys were discussing.
Yeah, Ken Whitman stole money from that project. Ken Whitman is a piece of shit. I have no problem saying that. There's plenty of salt where that name's mentioned. I can just tell you that right now. You're talking about Christian Doyle, and he was in the Brotherhood orientation video, the Dorkness Rising. He played Gary, Luster, and Fastidian. He was also on stage for the Gamers Live. He was in the Hands of Fate. He was in Natural One. They did, for those of you D&D people out there, they did a show for Dark Dungeons where they take the Jack Chick track that they used to hand you at your church when they found out you played D&D, and like they say, oh well, D&D is for Satanists, and like this young girl turns into Satan
Yeah,
worship.
see, my mom did say that to me when I was first approached. I think I was 10. When one of my friends said that that her brother was playing Dungeons and Dragons, blah blah blah, and if I wanted to watch, so I went over there and watched. And I remember my mom coming and knocking on the door because it was like 2 doors away on the base, and she was like, what, I want you to come home. And I was like, okay. So I went home, and then she told me she didn't want me to go over there anymore because she thinks that they're devil worshippers. Because they let their kids play that game. And I was like, she wouldn't even let us have a Ouija board.
Yes.
So I had one of those parents too. So anytime I tried to do any of that stuff, I just told her we were playing Monopoly or Sorry or some other dumb game. So
and then, says
and she already thought I was obsessed with vampires and stuff anyways, because I like vampire comic books, and I like scary old movies that were on TV, and she just didn't think, she thought I was obsessed with vampires and stuff. So she did whatever she could to keep me from reading about them or, watching movies or anything. So that's how.
Yeah, Christian Doyle is the actor's name that you were talking about, the young mousy kid. He was also in the Brotherhood or the Dead Camper Lake video we watched.
Yeah.
Oh,
my mouth is so dry.
All right. We're going to wrap up here pretty shortly, but because I can tell that, like, when Janet starts having this go on, not really her comfort level. Her comfort level drops. And as much as we have 15 people in chat, and I really wanted to, like, shake everybody's hand, or firm handshakes all around sort of thing, or hand you beer. I would, either of those, I would love to hand you beer and just say, yeah, we're going to stick around and just keep watching. Now, Janet's not, after about 9:30, 9:45 Central Standard, Janet doesn't feel so well because it's when her meds start to drop off. This is what happens. Love and
see, 12 hours only lasts, a 24-hour only lasts me 12 hours for some reason.
I wonder how you would do in San Antonio.
Well, I've gone to Arizona, and it was pretty nice. I didn't notice, that I had any problems. And even when I lived in New Orleans, I didn't have near as many problems as I have since I moved here. Since I moved here, I've been miserable. There's so much cedar and pine and ragweed and just everything I'm allergic to.
I think we're going to have to skip San Antonio for you. We'll have to do a meetup somewhere else.
If I just dose myself really good and take it before it starts to wear off, it doesn't take that long, to stay, level. So I just have to, remember that. I should have brought some pills in here and just started popping them, but I didn't.
Yeah, like I swear, I want to hang out with Janet in the real world. I do, but this is what I think. And I know this sounds bad. I'm not picking on Janet, but I think I would have to, like, get used to this guy being a third wheel.
I know, it sucks. I wish I could give it to anyone else. But if this is all that's wrong with me, I'd rather just have allergies and not have to worry about having, like, what is it? Heart problems or, something else, diabetes, or any of these other things that I don't have. So I'm thankful for that.
So we're going. I'm clicking through chat. Long Dick Dong. He made a good Gollum. He would make a great Gollum.
Who is that?
Long Dick Dong is in the movie. No, he's a character that's in the movie 16 Candles.
Oh, okay. That was
John Hughes movie from very many years ago when I was a young boy. Just need to get Janet a Bubble Boy suit. Yeah. Beer,
I
$2 for
saw a
beer.
suit. Somebody was making fun of one of my friends on Twitter was making fun of that Beckham woman, and she said, "Well, she's going in to change her into her something other suit, and it was a clear bodysuit, and it had a penis on it and everything." I thought it was hilarious.
That's weird. For
Because,
$2,
well, they were making fun of her because she was being so, stuck up or something, walking past people like they were, you know, peasants.
that's what she does. For £2 UK money, Winky Wanky Woo says beer. You have to do that, sir. Thank you very much, but you didn't have to do that. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
But it was
Because
called.
we send the money to the Wounded Warrior program, right?
Yeah,
So that's good.
it's dragging down my tax bracket. That's all that's I know that sounds terrible, but we're hitting two birds with one stone. I'm benefiting others, and I'm doing my best to.
And Cronus asked me if I like Turkish prisons, and I'm like, I've never been to Turkey.
No, don't do that. Don't do that. That's not a good place to be, Janet.
I would never go there.
I'm not I dealt with the Turk. I'm not saying the Turkish are bad. The Turkish we dealt with when I was in the Navy, like you hear when you're in service, like other services give you shit because you're in the Navy. Like, oh, you must be
Yeah.
gay. Are you on a submarine? Who's your boyfriend? Which one's your boo? And you hear shit like that all the time from like Air Force, Air Force people, and fucking Marine Corps is like almost the worst. But they everybody gives you shit for like, oh, you're gay. Well, the fucking Turkish Navy came to Texas in March of '94, and we showed them the USS McCandless FFT 1084, which is what my first ship was, and we decommissioned it. And here come the Turkish, and they got a berthing barge, and then like Noah's Ark pulls up, and we see all these goats get off the ship, off their Noah's Ark, and they herd the goats onto their berthing barge, and so the berthing barge has goat shit all over it after we got the Turkish off of it. And they took over the ship, and we decommissioned it, and they recommissioned it into their navy, and they sailed out on the lease because somewhere in the 1990s we shot down a Turkish airliner, and that was part of the apology program. Was we gave them a frigate, not even really like a good destroyer escort, just a piece of shit Knox class tin can. Well, the Turkish were on board, and like these fuckers were gay, like straight up. They were like. They brought boys. They brought like 12 and 15-year-old boys. And I'm thinking, man, this is nasty. And like there were certain spots on the berthing barge you just don't want to go to. They had a room with a red light in it, and that was like their room for like the what do you call it, the zug time. And I don't like when I got on patrolman watch, when I had to patrol and do gauges, I basically would run in there real quick, not look at anybody in the eye, and run the fuck out. Because I was 18 and I didn't want them to mistake me for being a wormhole. I don't want that. I'm good. Excessively homophobic. Sorry. So.
I got a message. Someone sent me a message and asked me to blow them a kiss. So I'm going to blow.
Beer meat on Discord. Yeah. I won't be drinking beer until mid-July, but yes. So the Turkish didn't really impress me too much until the Turkish brought their wives over for the celebration on May 4th, I want to say. And then we get to meet their wives. And so like, I'm asking the bosun's mate, like, you got a wife that looks like this. Why are you fucking everything that moves on your ship? And he's like, women are for babies. Little boys are for pleasure. I'm like, ugh. And that was just my experience.
That sounds like, well, I won't say a few people I've met of a certain religion.
Yeah. Yeah. It was completely that. The entire crew was that. And I appreciate them and that experience I had of broadening my exposure to other cultures. I never want to go to Turkey. I'm good.
All I can think of is that the reason they think that is because it happened to them.
Probably.
So do you want to know the movie I picked for next week?
We actually have a movie scheduled, hon.
Oh, you do already? Okay. Well, then I'll
Yeah,
put this
and
aside.
I'm gonna present the schedule.
So what is it? What are we gonna watch?
1985 movie, the Explorers.
The Explorers. That sounds familiar to me.
I believe it's a Steven Spielberg movie. I don't know much about it, and I have no idea about it.
Can you play the trailer for it before we leave? On here, you're allowed to do that, aren't you?
I think I might be able to. Let me see if I can. Before we go into this, let's see. And do you have that fair use disclaimer? Do you have that? Where'd you put that at?
I thought I sent it to you in Discord.
All right, I got to rewind.
Because I said I was told if you use that before you do something, that it would make sure that they know that you knew that you have the right to play it. So, but I can look on my phone so I can find it again.
Scroll. Me and Janet text a lot, so you'll have
Yeah,
to wait.
I talk a lot. But most people that know me know I like to talk. I can't help it. I'm not trying to be mean about it.
Yeah, I get it.
I just do it.
We're gonna do an experiment here and
did
see.
You find it?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
So I'm gonna go to Discord first. Fair use, copyright disclaimer. Under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976, allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, education, research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing.
Yay.
All right. So now, this is when you knew it was going to be lit. Oh, it's a Paramount movie. Awesome.
Let's hope we can hear it.
That's kind of weird. Kid's got to be dreaming. Early CGI. Yep, he's dreaming. He's watching War of the Worlds.
Oh, look how young everyone is.
I don't recognize any of these kids. I don't know any of these people.
The one in the bed, I've seen him as an adult in movies, and I can't remember what his name is.
Okay. So for those of you that are millennials or younger than that, a lot of us, before we got our first Commodore 64 or PRS-80, this is what we thought computers were. You kit bash something in the garage because there was this guy that made an entire company called Apple, and he built a computer in a garage, and then he mass marketed it. So this is kind of the perception. 1985, kids.
Oh, Ethan Hawke. I'm sorry. Okay. That's who it was that I recognized.
Wow.
And the other one's River Phoenix. Emperor said that in the chat.
Okay. Thank you, Emperor.
Yeah, him. Then the red shirt.
Yeah, the red shirt.
I recognized him, but I couldn't remember what his name is. Oh, they're so cute. Oh.
I can't believe that's Ethan Hawke. Okay, I recognize him.
That's River Phoenix.
Yeah.
Isn't he dead now?
He died in 94, I want to say.
He was
92 or 94.
He was at the Viper Club, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Don't do drugs, kids.
Sad. I remember this movie now, but I can't wait to watch it again.
For those of you who want to watch it with us, same time, same channel as last time.
Yeah, everybody can come and join us if you want to watch it with us.
And that's
Oh,
kind of what you did in '85, because like Star Wars was still a thing. We were still in love with the Star Wars movies, and even though they kind of fucked up and gave us Return of the Jedi in '83, which was not really a good ending to that trilogy. Fight me.
yeah.
I don't like Ewoks. I wanted Wookiees. The original draft was for a Wookiees. Give me Wookiees.
So this came out around the same time as E.T., right?
Back to the Future, actually. I
Oh, because
thought this came out the same year as Back to the Future in '85, and this was the unsung sleeper hit of the two movies that Spielberg had his handprints on.
it just seemed like it when that shot they just had, it just looked like it was. I don't know, something about the scene just looked like the same around the same time that
Yeah, it
came.
was 1 year later. ET was '84, I think. That's John Williams. That's all I want to say. I might be wrong, but that sounds like John Williams to a T. I had a toy like that.
I think all of us did.
Yeah, I think a lot of us did. I agree. I also have a
All
model
the
kit.
nerds, all the nerd kids did.
I didn't put together the model kit. I should put together the model kit. Still at mom and dad's house.
You still have it?
Yeah.
Then you should put it together. Start putting it
Okay.
together.
Man, I think I've.
And who wouldn't want to have that right now in their backyard? That'd be
I
so cool.
remember. I remember this. I don't think this came to Decatur. If it did, it was a very short showing.
Yep. Yay.
Robert Picardo's in this movie. So anybody here that's a Star Trek fan, I remember
Yeah.
eating popcorn and watching that trailer.
It's gonna be that's gonna be a good movie. It's gonna make us all feel like little kids again. Yeah, it's gonna be nice.
That's Jerry Goldsmith in the soundtrack. Okay, my bad. I thought it was somebody else. Um, we'll be watching that movie. Tune into our discords, and we'll give you directions. Um,
We
oh
did the
man,
last Starfighter
yeah,
already.
we've already done the Last Starfighter. I was getting ready to say that there's very few movies that you can tell that are loved, and when I say loved, I mean loved on set. They're not looking at it like this is going to pay for my mortgage. No,
Hmm.
I'm talking about there are movies that when people are behind the camera, when the actors are on screen, when everything is go, they really don't have to stretch to act. They love their character. They love the story. They love the set. They love interacting and giving the illusion of what they're doing is real. And the gamers, Dorkness Rising, is the same level of love and craftsmanship that the last Starfighter has. I don't
Hmm.
think any other two movies I have in my collection have so much belief in the people that were working on them that they would be the successes they are. And the last Starfighter was not really a big critical hit, but it's loved by everybody that sees it.
But was the last Starfighter an indie movie? Was it more independent from a big studio?
I don't think it was really independent because it was they farmed it to few different places, and the CGI guy was trying. He was trying to get more money so they could get a little bit more time to do the CGI, and instead they went with smoother polygons and less detailed chips, and they realized that their budget was their biggest problem.
Mm-hmm.
Winky Wanky Woo, what was a failure?
Yeah, what?
Daryl and Iron Eagle will probably have to do here pretty soon. There is a period that we're going to be kind of getting out of movies for a bit, and we're going to be discussing Futurama. And I've been told numerous times that Futurama is an amazing film.
I wish I could fix it to where I have one eye on my face. I would be dressed up as Leela every time. Every time we did a show, I love her. I love that. That's one of my favorite TV series.
I don't. My wife would divorce me to marry you.
Oh, if I was Leela, I mean,
probably.
Yeah, I just think I love the actress that does her voice. I just adore her. And I just love the character, her character in the show. I can't wait to have you watch it because I know you haven't really watched Futurama. No. And as much as you like all this other stuff, I just think that you would absolutely love this series. It's just so good. I can't believe you haven't, you just never did get to really get into it or anything.
Emperor 1G, if you know your way around your PC, you can download the MAME basically for The Last Starfighter, and they recreated the game that follows the plot of the movie, and you can play it on your PC with either the Thrustmaster or with the keyboard and mouse, I believe. And a lot of people I know have loved it. Yeah. But we're gonna watch The Explorers and discuss that for next week, and we've got pretty much most of up to mid-July is taken up so far, Janet. And before we start selecting things, because there was a while there where people were like, "Do this movie," and they threw money behind it. I'm like, oh.
Yeah, okay, well that's good. That's what we said we wanted to try to do.
Yeah,
and I'm all for that. I was just going to make sure everybody in the chat remembers, and Sunday we will watch this movie. And if you want to come watch it with us, you can.
Yep.
I'll sit and enjoy a movie together. And if you get sick of me laughing or whatever, I can mute my mic. But
okay. Before we leave, do you have anything else you'd like to say?
No, I had a lot of fun. This was a really good movie. I'm thankful that you wanted me to watch it because I had never seen it before. And I just loved it. I thought it was funny. It was entertaining. I think everybody had great character arcs in this. I thought they did a really good job at showing the detail and the work it takes to actually play one of these games. To understand what is expected of each of the people that are in the game, and why you have to roll dice and all that stuff. I mean, I just think it's important if anyone's interested in kind of getting the view of the actual person that writes and sets the game up for the players. And that's one thing I like that was different about this movie, because it gave us that aspect of it. And I enjoyed it.
My comment is for Mac Thompson. He's asking if we watched the original Conan the Barbarian. We've not watched and reviewed it. We've watched it before, of course.
Yes, we've seen it, but we haven't reviewed it yet.
Winky Winky Woo, which one do you want me to read out loud, my friend? Download more RAM. Titties. The newbies. The movie was a failure, but loved afterwards. But loved.
Yeah, there's been a few movies that didn't do very well at the box office that ended up becoming a hit afterward. Wasn't Rocky Horror Picture Show one of them?
Rocky Horror Picture Show is definitely one of them. The problem with Big Trouble in Little China is that it came out in the summer of Aliens, and so it was discovered in November of '86 at a video rental store near you, and everybody was just needing that movie to be in their collection after that. What Janet?
Well, Emperor said that's a description of half the '80s movies.
Yeah, half the '80s movies were like, once you got them on video, they were actually like freaking amazing. And the one about Janet's boobs, the one where you wanted to pour a pint.
You wanted me to bend over the bar, remember?
Yes, I remember that. Yes.
So,
Janet,
but that's what Winky does. He always says stuff like that. But
Janet,
he's a long ways away.
Yeah. Janet, pour me a pint. Bend over the bar and pour me a pint, please. Yeah, I remember seeing that a lot. Here. She's got your cup, sir.
Yeah, it's a goblet. Isn't it pretty? It's really heavy. I think it's made out of brass.
Yeah, we're going to watch Conan the Barbarian here pretty soon.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That's actually, I know that sounds bad, but I want to watch all 3 of the Conan movies, and I'm putting all 3 of the Conan movies as Conan the Barbarian, Conan the Destroyer, Red Sonja.
Yeah, Red Sonja is good too.
And then
I really liked them. I thought all the movies were good.
Yeah,
I even thought Beastmaster was good too.
I like Beastmaster 1 and 2.
Yeah, with what was his last name was Singer, right? Mark Singer. Yeah,
he was the star of V series. But well then, Bruce and Janet, why don't you come up to the lab and see what's on the slab?
I have gone to, I think, like maybe 8 or 9 Rocky Horror Picture Shows, events where you get the goodie bags and you dress up, and everybody's like, "You gonna dress up as Janet?" I'm like, "No, I'm going as Magenta." So I've only been Janet one time at one of them. That's a boring part.
Yeah,
I like Magenta better.
So before we leave, we want you guys to have a good week. Thank you for joining us on this Monday night. My name is Bruce. My co-host is Janet from another planet. And looking forward to seeing this movie. I've never seen The Explorers before. It's been on TV. It's been on DVD. I think my parents have the VHS of it. It looks like a great movie. I'm probably going to enjoy watching it. I'm looking forward to this. And I appreciate everybody for being here. You guys, James and Winky Wanky Woo, you guys did not have to do this. I appreciate you guys very much. You firm handshakes all around. If I could definitely give those, I would definitely give those. We will be back here next Monday night to review and discuss the movie The Explorers. Follow Janet's instructions on Discord. And Janet, would you like to lead us out?
Thank you for joining us, and it was a lot of fun, and you guys are always really exciting, and you make this more entertainable because you guys are just make us feel good about what we're doing, and I really, really appreciate it, and I appreciate Bruce immensely, and I'm thankful that he asked me to join him on this quest to review movies with him. So I'm thankful for that.
I have somebody
you guys will come join us on Sunday so we can watch this next movie.
Winky Wanky Woo, Kronos, Six Nation 31 Kings, Lady 1, the Dungeon Master James, everybody, Emperor 1G,
yeah.
Please have a great night. Thank you, Chuck, for coming in. We will be back next Monday. See you then.
Bye-bye.